bomb and about to blow up. I'm the bomb and I'm about to blow up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Everybody sing it now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Everybody sing it now.
Hello, ladies and Gentiles. We have another little part after a very exciting part. Last time we went to the moon, which was pretty awesome. Ooh, I mean, I'm not going to do this right now, but that is a pretty kick-ass mission there. I still have the science data from Surface of the Moon mission. I still have the ferry tourists safely to their destination, but now it's for a moon flyby. It's doable, but, you know, we just did a moon flyby mission. I don't want to make you guys watch another one. Instead, I want you guys to get a look at the rescuing somebody from the orbit of Kerbal missions. We haven't done a rendezvous yet, so in this part we're going to do a rendezvous, and then our next mission is probably going to be the satellite one, because satellites are pretty important once you start going deeper and deeper into space, and once you don't necessarily want to have a pilot on your ships. So that gets pretty crucial. So, but we're going to start with rescuing somebody from the orbit of Kerbal. We're going to do that in the VAB, baby. Alrighty. So, we're going to start with this Probodobodine Octo. This is an automated system that has stability assist, so that's going to be great for our needs, because we're not going to be bringing a pilot up with us. We're going to bring instead an empty crew cabin, and this empty crew cabin is where the person that we're rescuing is going to chill. Now, this thing requires power, so I'm going to take a couple batteries, put them on the sides like so. And then I'm going to take these solar panels, and I'm going to put them up here, and turn them like this and put them like that for four-way symmetry. That way pretty much every side can get the sun when we want to use it. When we want to use its benefits. Take a heat shield. Boom. We are going to take a decoupler. Boom. And that's basically the capsule that's going to be landing back on Kerbal. For the actual rescue mission, we're going to take an FLT-200 fuel tank. That should be more than enough, because we're not going to the moon. We're literally just going to be altering our orbits in Kerbal, and this is basically not going to be used until we're maneuvering around to actually save the person. All the orbiting and stuff, I think, I could be wrong, I think it'll be done by our previous stages. So, we're going to do that, and then we're going to do the same freaking thing that we did for the last ship, where we put one of these bad boys on, where we put one of these bad boys on, and then we kind of went off to the side. Yeah, we went off to the side. I believe this also has its own reaction system. I don't think we need an extra reaction wheel or anything here. It should be fairly controllable. So we're going to take the swivel fuel engine, which is again the one that has gimbaling. That's going to make it nice and controllable. We're going to take some of these, and we're going to stick these bad boys right on the side. Now, I didn't explain this in the last part. The reason why we use the Reliance on this one is because they are lighter. They have extra thrust. Also, some people would probably be using RCS for this mission. I really hate using RCS and don't use it unless I absolutely have to. So we can go in here, and this monopropellant is the fuel for a reaction control system. We can just go ahead and whop, get rid of it. We don't need it. Save us some weight. Aerodynamics. We're going to put an aerodynamic nose cone right on this. Like so. We are going to take, just like last time, our fuel lines, put them like so. And now, instead of having a big problem with our stability, we can take, where is it? Structural over here. And we can take these struts, put a couple here, put a couple here, and now it's nice and secure. I don't think we need any up here. This should be fine. So, these all are going to go at the same time. These things are going to separate. This stage is what's going to finish getting us into space. It should also be able to circularize us. And then we'll have this little stage in here taking over. Let's check our resources. It looks like we're okay. Electric charge generated but not used. Short range antenna. This thing doesn't require power. It has an internal battery. I think that it's a good idea to bring this with us. But beyond that, we don't really need science or anything. Now that I'm thinking about it, I figure why not just take some extra struts, put them around this side too. It's basically a monumentally similar ship to the last one that we built. In fact, we can do something called a subassembly, and we can go advanced subassemblies, and we can drag this whole thing in there. And this way, if we ever have to build a similar ship to this, and we're going to be using the same booster configuration, we can just drag and drop it instead of having to rebuild it. Short range booster. Short range, because this is probably good for, you know, the moon, Minmus, and, you know, the immediate surrounding area of Kerbal. I wouldn't trust it with much else. I am going to add, and I'm actually going to add better ones than the ones we used the last time, I think. I'm going to add some of these bad boys. It doesn't really do much to hurt our Delta V that badly, so I figure why not. And we're going to go ahead and fix the strut configuration just so this looks a little bit more pleasant. So let's go like this. And that's probably fine, but if we want to be cute, we can do it on this side too. That's going to be a pretty stable craft. I did do a test run of this, and I did have some weird, like, problems controlling this, so I'm thinking that these big winglets will help. My only hope is that once we get into space, it's not going to make it very unmaneuverable. But it is a learning experience, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go learn. Alright, I'm actually back in the vehicle assembly thing because I forgot one more thing that I wanted to put on here. If I go to science, we have this Kerbal engineering system, which is what we used last time to kind of make sure that we had a nice little... God, I can't talk. So we can see basically where we're headed without having to go into the map view. Now we can launch. Okay, so we're going after a target. If we look at our map view, the guy that we're going for is here. We're at the Kerbal Space Center, and then we have our orbiting dude over here. If you look at this pink thing, this is the satellite that we're going to be launching eventually. This is the moon, and then we have a couple more guys that we can rescue, and that's Minmus all the way out there. We saw it in the last part. By accident, pretty much. But if we look, before I keep time accelerating, at our periaps, that's fairly low. That's 72,000. So I like being able to have more maneuverability. So I'm actually going to try to go for a higher orbit than the ship that we're using right here. I can't talk again. And that would mean that we're going slower relative to the Earth than this ship, which means that we want to launch with this ship behind us, or we want to reach orbit when that ship is still behind us. So I'm just gonna speed it up a little bit more, and I'm gonna stop there, and I think this is where we're gonna launch. I'm gonna go with the old F5 so that we have a quick save, and I'm gonna go for an apoapsis of about 90. I think will probably be good. On your marks, get set, launch! And we're off. Just try to go with a nice, slow, controlled turn. This thing is kind of fighting me a little bit. I think that these winglets are helping my control a little bit too much because it's really not wanting to let me turn. Now this ship happened to already be on an equatorial orbit, the one that we're targeting, which is nice and convenient. That won't always be the case, but it means that we can launch in the exact same way that we were launching to go to the moon, which is also the most efficient way you can orbit to begin with, so works out for us. Time to separate, and that was a much better separation than we had on our last flight. Me like that. I said I was going to go for 90. I'm just trying to flatten out. Now really this is not the most efficient manner of reaching orbit, kind of going against these aerodynamic forces, but I just have so much delta V that I don't much care. I have more delta V than I will need for this mission by a mile. But honestly, I don't see why people aren't into over-engineering. I think over-engineering is fine. Just gonna go up to 90, and let's take a look. So now you can see that we kind of have these markers here. Those are our close approach markers. They're the markers that tell us where we are and where our target is at the closest approach. So I'm gonna try to get my orbit out and see if we can kind of, first of all, get into a stable orbit, and once we get into a stable orbit, how close we can get those markers. So I'm dragging these out, and these are starting to kind of rapidly get close to each other, it looks like. Yeah. And we got 56. That's not a stable orbit yet. Oop. 79. What's the actual periaps? Alright, we're getting somewhere. Ideally, I would want these periaps as the periaps of our target, and this pretty in sync, which is not us right now, but we can make it work. We could try to hit along 72 it was, right? 72. You can try to hit along this periaps, and you see our target position is still pretty far behind here, so hopefully we can just go like this and try to push our orbit out more, and that'll slow us down enough so by the time we come back around we'll have a nice close approach. Also, our orbits aren't exactly in line, which is going to be another thing that has to be fixed, but for now this stage still has plenty of delta V, and we got to get ready to fire our engines in about 10 seconds. Oh no, do it now. What am I talking about? Like I said, half and half. And there's many ways that we can go about fixing our inclination and making everything nice and pretty. But for now, I'm just trying to get the periaps up, get into a stable orbit, and then we're gonna will this ship into catching up with us, basically. 2, 1. What's our periaps? Not enough. We gotta get up to 72. Was it 71? Okay, pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So now, if we can go to the periaps that we have over here, and we try to push it out, we're trying to get our close approach markers getting close to each other. It's not happening yet because we probably didn't launch close enough to this ship. And that was my own paranoia talking. So let's, while we're here, try to get our ascending node down a little bit so that our actual orbits align. So we can go like this, pull this down, and now you can see how our orbit kind of moved to get right in line with the actual ascending node. We're not perfect yet. 0.20. Okay. Now we'll be pretty well aligned. But you can see that's a tiny, tiny burn. So we're going to do the thrust limiter method again. 12 seconds. That'll do. And let's warp to our next maneuver. Once we get the close approach that we want, which we're not there yet, we could, hold on. Once we get that, oh god, it's getting so hard to control. This is what I was worried about with the, this is what I was worried about with using the bigger winglets. I think that's the culprit. We could speed up a little bit. Not too much, but... Okay. With 6 seconds left. Go. And all we're doing is trying to line our orbits up so that we'll get the closest approach we can. Check. Our ascending node is 0, but our target is still pretty well behind us. So I didn't do the best job with that. But let's see, 85 and 90. Okay. What we can do is we could see what's going to happen in a few orbits. But to do that, we'll go back to the apps that we were working with. We can add a maneuver, and then we can hit this button, which adds an orbit. And you can see that things are kind of, as we orbit a bit, getting closer and 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 closer. Right? And then we can kind of go out a little bit, and that should result in us getting a pretty good intersect. But I'm trying to look at where we're headed, and I'm not loving it. I was expecting better than that. Huh. Really was expecting better than that. Let's see. You start playing with different things, like trying to get these aligned. It really is a whole big game. This is the reason why I'm glad this wasn't a tutorial. Alright. What we're going to do is we're just going to go around a little bit and try to get these things close to each other. Just going to go a few orbits. And you can see very slowly that back ship is catching up with us. Closing in. Closing in, closing in. You can also tell this by looking at the markers. It's kind of disorienting. I should have put like some kind of seizure warning before I did all that. But let's see. Okay. Right now it has our closest approach at 52 kilometers. Let's see if I can get that down by kind of just 52.4. No, this is going in like the opposite way that I expected. It's very strange. Let's see. Apps. Move this up, try to get it over here. 61, 60, 59, 58, 57, 56, 55. How many more orbits? 25, 5.4. Nope. 5.4. Let's work with that. 5.4. Nope. Wrong way. 5. Oop. If we're in the 5s, we're doing pretty well. So let's try to 4, 3.9. We also got to make sure that our apoaps and periaps at no point get below that 70, because then we'll be falling back into this frickin' atmosphere. We don't want that. 3.6, 3.5. Oh, God, we're getting close as F now. We just got to keep an eye on our periapsis and make sure that's not going below. And what am I looking at here? Oh. These movements get really fine at this point. 1 kilometer. I will more than take that, but you can see how the node is now in an hour and 18 minutes. Because now we can't warp to the maneuver node, so that's kind of important to note. And now look, even with this thrust limiter like this, it's such a tiny burn that it's 1 second. But I'm actually going to get rid of this lumbering stage here, because I'm basically tired of not being able to move around. So now, look how much I can move. Beautiful. And there's also less thrust, which should help with the thrust limiter to make this a manageably simple enough burn. I'll live with the 6 seconds. And now we just have to manually time accelerate, which is unfortunate, but 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. This always scares me. I can always switch to manual time acceleration when I don't when I only have 1 orbit left. But for now, I forget how long orbits take. I think it's about a half hour or something like that. So yeah, this is the last one. Okay. We're getting nice and close. It feels real good to be able to move the ship without it being so lumbering. And again, we have 31 seconds of Delta V. Considering how close our approach is, that's going to be more than fine. It's just speeding up time a little bit again. 7, 6, 5, 4, hit it. Done. Okay. Now, let's see what our approach ended up being. 1 kilometer. That's perfect. So now you can see that our nav is in target mode. It's very important that it's in that mode. In fact, it's so close. If I zoom into the positioning, I should see it. Yep. Right. So now, we're going to get close to this thing. And when we get close to it, we're going to burn off any of our target relative speed. And then we're going to point towards it. And we're going to fire towards it. And we're kind of just going to work like that. But for now, we're waiting until our target is, it said 1 kilometer, so maybe around 1.5 we could do the speed killing thing. We could really do it right now, but there's not much point. Might as well get nice and close. 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. And now this is just going to make us match the target speed, which basically means that we're... Ooh, I forgot to turn the thrust limiter off. Okay. And we're just going to speed up until that goes down. Because what this basically is saying is that we're going to be the same exact speed, which also means same exact orbit. Now we're actually going the other way. But it doesn't matter because we're going to go to this marker, which is the target marker. And we're going to speed into it. And we're just going to try to fly right towards the target. Maybe like 15 meters a second would be good. We don't want to go... We want to go like quickly just to save time, but we also don't want to go too quickly because then mistakes can happen. Okay, so now we're basically going straight towards this guy we have to rescue. Once he gets close enough, I would say within 100 meters, if it looks like we're not, diverting too far from where we're going. Maybe 150 is a little bit safer because we do have a lot of speed going on here. We'll burn again and kill off the speed, and then it should be a rather easy matter to get. You see how these markers are starting to separate? That's not great, but I think we'll be okay. Alright. I'm going to start just hitting it nice and easy right now. Again, just trying to push our vessel in the correct direction. And now we're kind of going towards it. We can give it a little... I slowed down a little bit too much. We can kind of go towards it like this. And we're doing really well. We can actually see it. We're getting really close. So I'm just going to do a little bit slow down. And now we can really kill off all the speed. Oh, perfect. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the door towards where we're going. So it's nice and easy because we're going to have to fly our boy home. I just pressed the bracket key, which switched me to this. And now we're going to go EVA. And we're going to check where our target is. We're going to zoom in pretty close because I just find that I have better control that way. Hit R to employ the RCS. And we are flying him towards the ship using nothing but the jetpack that he had with him. Using these RCS packs in space is quite a thing. Oop, 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 oop. Okay. Okay. Now we just gotta wait till we get the prop to grab on. We grabbed on and we got him. That's some of the tensest stuff that you can do in this game, people. We literally rendezvoused two vessels outside of the freaking planet and we got our man. Now, first thing I usually try to do is untarget the other spacecraft, but it looks like we're going to have a problem doing that. So, because they're so close to each other. So, we are just going to try to get a nice landing on the light side, hopefully, of the planet. Which could be kind of coming down over here, but we kind of put ourselves in a position where we don't have the most water to aim for. Luckily, again, we have plenty of Delta V, so we can kind of come out here. We have 3 whole minutes to plan this maneuver node, so there's not much stress. We're just pulling this down so we kind of have just a nice amount of water to hopefully land. I was just trying to avoid this peninsula here. And then we're going to try to pull this down to 30 like always. Now this didn't really account for the rotation of the planet, so I'm just going to try to move this a little bit to like maybe here. And I'm hoping that's a pretty solid window to get ourselves down with a decent amount of water and like flat land. Just really trying to avoid these mountains over here. But we have our node in 6 minutes, so we're going to Oh, first of all, switch back to orbit mode. Yup. And warp to next maneuver. Okay, and then with 4 seconds left, we're going to hit it, so we're going to speed this up. Two, one, bam. And this whole thing has been controlled, pretty funnily enough, by nothing. This is a completely well, we can finally unset that target. It was too close before. Completely just communication with the Kerbal Space Center is what we used to get this man home. We don't need this stage anymore, so we can get rid of it. We can point this baby retrograde, and we can get ready to bring our boy home from the cold loneliness of space. Alright. Now we'll just get to see how this landing goes. I'm hoping it didn't rotate so much that we're going to land right over the hell spot. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen, but it looks like the mountains are over here and this is a more manageable thing. Accounting for the rotation of the planet can be a real pain in the you-know-what. There isn't so much aerodynamic forces right now acting against us, so hopefully we'll be okay to get over this land and get towards the water before those aerodynamic forces really start working. It looks like I succeeded. Looks like I didn't actually mess that up. Isn't that amazing? Okay, I don't know what that camera just did, but I'm just going to point or make sure that we're still pointing retrograde. Right now, see, we still have an apoapse, you know what I mean? Like, and our periapse is still not even in Kerbin yet, so we really didn't get hit with the aerodynamic forces yet. We're definitely going to go over this, and we're pretty clearly going to land in the water, probably around here. That went pretty well. Once we start getting a decent amount of real drag, I can turn the stability assist off because gravity is going to keep us with our heat shield pointed in the right direction. Fred Kerman, we saved you, buddy. Well, I shouldn't say that yet. Anything can happen. But that's Rendezvous. Finding a target in space and figuring out how the heck to get there. Matching speeds, matching orbits, and just little tiny maneuvers to get to the promised land. We should pretty quickly be getting our burns. We don't have a periapse anymore. We're guaranteed to hit this planet, just hopefully not too hard. I hear cats going nuts outside. It's not great. Alright, we're going into the water. We're actually getting nice and close to the Kerbal Space Center. And here come those forces. I think I can turn stability assist off. And you can see, without even touching the handle, we're coming in nice. Coming in nice. We could speed things up. And when you speed things up, things can get a little wonky, so just be careful. Keep an eye on things. We are projected to pretty much land on the Kerbal Space Center. Look at this. I think that we'll be on this side by the time all is said and done. Yeah. Alright. We're slowing down to a decent level. That's it for the burn, pretty much. Is this the second video in a row where I accidentally landed like pretty much next to the Kerbal Space Center? Ain't that neat? There goes pretty much all our speed dying. And we are floating right into the water in a most peculiar way. What a nice approach. So it took a couple extra orbits because I didn't time my launch perfectly, but that went pretty well, because that's the worst case scenario. As long as you have like a relatively decent orbit, you just gotta wait a couple. That's like the worst thing that'll happen. Ooh, look at the ice caps. We are going below the cloud layer. We're not slowing down very much at this point. We can pop the chute. Now, altitude 1,000 is when this is going to deploy. So, whatever. We'll be fine. Guarantee it. And we are 300 meters above sea level. Parachute deployed. You can see the moon. We've already been to you. Doesn't that put things in such a nice perspective? We went there. And now we went here. So I don't know how Mr. Kerman got himself stuck up there in the cold, frigid recesses of Kerbal orbit in space, all alone with no means of getting back. But you know what? It don't matter, because we got him back. Mission success. Save friend King Kerbal. Recover him on Kerbal. We are about to recover him. Welcome back, sir. With my $592,000. You know what I want to do? I want to be able to take soil samples. I forgot how to do that. I think it's the astronaut complex. I think. Is it research and development? Yeah, that's the one. That's expensive. But we are going to try to get onto the surface of the moon pretty quickly, and I'm going to need surface samples for that. So I'm going to spend the ludicrous amount of money. Yep. Now, that wasn't necessary for right now, but it will be in the relatively near future, because we, in the next part, are going to launch that satellite into polar orbit. And then after that, we'll probably try to land on the moon or somewhere. We'll see. That'll be exciting. Maybe we'll go to Minmus instead, because we already did the moon. Maybe we'll go to Minmus. I don't know. We'll decide. Either way, that was fun. We saved that little man's life. Next time, we don't have to worry about that, because it'll be a completely unmanned mission. Until that time, I shall see you when I see you. Bye-bye. And I love you all.
I'm the bomb and about to blow up. I'm the bomb and about to blow up. I got my trucks and my dickies and I put it on black. Banging Sinatra in a flat Cadillac. My old lady leaning out the whole window.